That's how you want to sit? This is weird. We're back, the headless YouTuber doing headless planty things with her trusty Pug Pudge, and today we will be repotting this monster in the background that you can't really see. But I've never shown this plant on my channel before. It's a philodendron Florida green, I think they call it, and my friend Erin gifted me this plant. It was sold locally. They've been selling it everywhere, and I've been wanting one so bad, but I was like, is it a plant that I truly need, or is it just one of those things where I see a big leaf and I'm like, oh, I have to have it? But now that it's in my possession, I just know that I have to have it, and I have zero regrets asking her to pick one up for me. I was supposed to pay her back for it, but then she didn't end up letting me pay her, which is kind of Erin's normal thing. So anyway, I have this massive plant behind me, which I will show you in a second, but it is spring and it feels like spring. I can feel it in my bones. So I am just so glad to see blue skies today and sunshine. And I'm honestly just in a mood for a repot. And I'm pretty excited to get this thing out of its nursery pot because the soil looks not great and it's growing so much. So let me bring the plant out and I will show you kind of what I'm working with and maybe what I have planned for it. I thought that I could fit this in the frame sitting over there, but I was very wrong. But look at this giant monster. Like, it's no joke. This one just unfurled and it is huge. There's actually multiple plants in here, so I did want to separate it. I know some people are probably gonna say like, no, keep it together because it looks so good. But you guys, it's too big, and it's kind of growing 360 right now. So I don't really have like a good spot to keep it where it can keep growing that way. And I did want to try growing like one stem out on the shelf. I wanted to grow one stem in my bedroom and then one in my plant room. So I am kind of happy that there are multiple plants in here. I will miss seeing this little bush, but I just can't really enjoy it because right now it's just sitting in the corner of my bedroom because it's the only place where like Pudge's face doesn't get smacked, and then obviously I can't just like stick this whole thing on the shelf, so it kind of has to be undone. And I do want to try getting one of them on a lazy pole just to see kind of how big I can grow it. I don't think it's, I don't know, I don't really have many plants growing on a pole on my shelf, but I might try and stick this on the very top and just see how it does. And now that we've got these clear lazy poles, I'm kind of less hesitant to put a pole out here just because of how ugly moss poles usually are. But I don't know if you can see, but there are like little teeny tiny babies in there. And yeah, my guess is that there's probably like 6 plants in here total. But I wanted to give you guys like a good shot of it, of what it looks like now, because probably when I'm on the floor working on it, you're not going to be able to see much of the plant. Look at this new leaf that's opening up. So yeah, I am a little bit afraid that this plant is going to start reverting in size because it's not being given nursery conditions, it's not on a pole. So I kind of just want to help it with something. And honestly, well, this soil, I'll show you, I'll be able to show you later, but this soil is just not it. It looks like it's like pure peat moss and I'm just not into it. So anyway, before shot, and now I need to put this down because I'm panting. So what I'm gonna do is just get it unpotted. I'm gonna mix some new soil and show you the soil that I'm using right now. And we'll separate, repot, make lazy poles. I think that this one is gonna be a long video just because so much needs to be done. But I am gonna do it out here because it's too big to work with in the plant room. So let's just get started. This is the soil that I'm using. It's the Fox Farms Happy Frog Mix. I have used this in the past, but it is more expensive than the soil I normally use. But thankfully for Jing, she saved my ass and brought over this massive bag of soil since she's pretty much growing purely in passive hydro, which is great because it's a lot more of a eco-friendly choice than using soil, but I can't let go of it. I love growing in soil, I love working with soil, and it just makes me feel good. I love working with pond too, but soil is like my first love when it comes to substrates. So I am gonna be mixing some today, and I am fully expecting a layer of dust to be all over my living room because she says this one's a little bit older. She hasn't used it in a while, and so I'm guessing it might be a little bit dry. but we're gonna see. So I'm gonna be mixing it in here, and then I'll show you what else I put in here. But I don't know where to start. Oh gosh, there's soil everywhere already. I want to pour it in because I need a lot, but I don't think I can lift it. Can I? No, I can't. Don't do it. Before I fill it more, I'm just going to massage out some of these big chunks so that they're not buried at the bottom when I'm mixing in my amendments. This soil mix already has not coarse perlite, but it does have perlite, and it's got little like chunks of like, I don't know, wood or bark. It's still, for me, a little bit too dense for a mix on its own for aeroids. But if you have something like begonias, ripsalis, what else looks a dense mix? Hoyas. I even find some scindapsus really enjoy a really dense mix. You can probably just use this without amendments. But otherwise, I would definitely mix in at least some bark or more perlite. My nose is going to be filled with soil after this video. I usually wear a mask when I'm working with soil, but then like the audio is gonna sound all muffled. Ugh. I feel like I'm gonna need a lot more than this, but keep in mind I am also going to be reusing some of the soil that's already in the pot, and I know that that soil's a lot older or whatever, it's not as fresh, but I have mentioned this on my YouTube channel before, but I always reuse old soil as long as it hasn't been in contact with something like thrips or spider mites or whatever, just because I don't want any of that larvae going into my new soil batch. My logic is that like I'm not running a conservatory, I'm not planting for study, I'm not contributing back to Mother Nature, and so if my plants are not always getting like 100% fresh soil or whatever, it really, like, as long as they're growing well, then I'm happy. And if anyone feels like, oh, you really shouldn't do that because it's bad for your plants, oh well, I've been doing it for years and they're growing the way that I want them to grow. They make my space look good, it's for my own enjoyment, and I would just prefer to not be constantly buying soil, because this bag of soil should last me until next year. I usually only buy about one bag of soil around that size every year, which is kind of a lot of soil, even for having like almost 200 plants or however many I have. Never actually counted, I don't think. Okay, I definitely know that I'm gonna need more than this, but let's just try. I also might want to try growing one of them in passive hydro in like Lechuzapon or something, just to see like which one grows better. But I am a bit nervous that it's such an established plant in soil that it might not take well to the transition. I have some worm castings in here, castings, castings. I hear people say it different. I've just always said casting. So I'm just gonna add this whole jar, and this is the last of it. I need to grab some more, but I do need to do kind of like a big spring like rebuy, because I am out of a lot of the things that I need. Since I'll be doing a lot of repotting in the next few weeks, I need to grab them pretty soon. This is like one of 5 boxes or something of amendments that I've sifted from old soil, and I just like to reuse it. So I'm just gonna be adding some in here. Gosh, this thing is so dry, it's gonna be so dusty. Sorry, I was just choking. You know, nothing new around here. I should wet this a little bit. I think I will. I wanted to film outside, but honestly, like, a lot of the people who live in my building are retired. or people my age that work from home. So they're just like always home. And I get really self-conscious when I'm out there because I swear my neighbors are always looking out their freaking windows. And yeah, they've seen a lot of things that they were not supposed to see. So now I just kind of avoid it at all costs. But it's such a nice day today. And I just wish that I could be out there because it's quite warm in here and now it's gonna be super dusty. So I don't want it to be too chunky because none of these are gonna be living in the greenhouse, meaning it's gonna be lower humidity. All of my plants that are like out in the living room or just like not in a greenhouse dry out so much faster. So I don't want it to be too dense. So this is like an ideal sort of mix for me for a plant that's gonna be outside of a greenhouse. The next thing I'm gonna do is get this unpotted somehow, some way without breaking all of these precious new leaves, but my guess is I'm gonna break at least one. I've had this plant for a few weeks and it is constantly pushing out leaves, and so I can't find sort of that perfect window to repot it while there's no leaves on it because there's so many plants in here. It's just impossible to time it. So it's kind of now or never. It's just getting way too big. I've probably grown at least like 5 or 6 new leaves while it's been in my care. So we're just gonna do it. I have a trash bag here that I'm gonna use to just dump this soil as best as I can, go through it, make sure it looks okay before mixing some of it into my new soil. If I break this new leaf that just opened, that's like so big and beautiful, I might actually cry. I'm overwhelmed. I don't know what to do. Okay. I feel like I could just lift it out. No, I can't. Okay. I have to tip it over. How about I tip it this way? Ah! I should have had Alice help me with this. Oh, and it's coming out of the bottom. Crap. Okay. I'm gonna massage it a little bit. Okay. Should be able to just pull it out. Here's the root situation. It's looking good. So I'm just gonna try and get as much in this bag as possible, even though it's already all over my floor. I'm just gonna time lapse this because it's gonna take me kind of a while. Why? You guys. I'm so sorry if this is stressing you out. It's stressing me out too. It's just so large and so root bound, and there's soil in my socks. How many leaves were that? 5 already? I'm not even halfway done yet. Oh, you guys, these snap so easily. I'm so upset. 1, 2. Dang it. Yuck. Oh my gosh. After 7 hours, I am finally free. But you know what's funny is that I've got so many teeny tiny plants growing from the bottom. I just don't know what to do with it. I almost want to just pluck it off because I want it to focus on this big growth. But at the same time, I feel kind of bad. Okay, I'm not going to disturb this anymore. Let's just set this one aside. And then now I've got 2, I think 2 or 3 in here that need to be separated. Let's work on this one. Oh yeah, there's 2 in here, but I think this one's an offshoot. So here's another one. This is a really great size for the shelf because it's like a lot smaller. But then I've got this one right here that's growing, and I believe it's attached to it. I don't know if I can separate any roots. I don't really want to, but I'm just going to, what do I want to do here? Let's leave it for now and we'll make some decisions later. I almost feel like there's like a mesh plug in here, but I could be wrong. It's just like there's like, I could feel something really compacted in here and I don't really want to fish it out. But at the same time, I don't think this one was grown from a mesh plug. All right, big plant is separated. There actually wasn't as many babies in here as I thought. I've just got 1, 2, 3, 4 plants. Actually 5 because there's a separate offshoot on that one. Luckily, they all have a very decent root system still. But yeah, a lot was broken off, which has me a little bit worried that it might have some stress, but we're gonna hope for the best. I feel like I'm repotting at a really good time. It seems like a very, very strong plant right now, just in terms of new growth. So I do think it's going to be quite resilient in the repot, hopefully. I'm gonna see if I can sift out some of these roots from this soil so that I can reuse it. Pudge, what do you think? Do you think I should give them a shower first? I don't really want to let them dry though. Here's my pug. Honestly, I am ready to make a yummy, delicious veggie sandwich with fresh avocado and then go for a mental health walk, and then I think I will come back and finish this. What I think I'm gonna do is actually just toss them in the shower, give them a quick spray down, just because there's so much EFN on it, there's a lot of dirt on it now, and I just want them to be sort of in a fresh spot before being planted. And also I need a break because my arms are on fire from untangling that beast. So we will be right back. This is about how much I'm going to be adding to my soil mix. I don't really have the patience to do any more than that. We are going to work on one at a time so that I'm not feeling overwhelmed. This one is the smallest one out of all of the plants in that pot, and I just gave it a wash down with Dr. Bronner's, and hopefully I can remove some of this EFN that is just all over this plant because it is so freaking sticky. I counted how many leaves I broke off, and in total there were about 7. I already knew that there were going to be some casualties, but luckily so far we're about halfway into this video. None of the bigger leaves or new growth points have been snapped off, but the day is young. I think this is the one that I'm going to be putting in my bedroom on my shelf. So I do need it to be in a pot that, oh, I cracked it, damn it. I need it to be in a pot that is thin enough, or like has a smaller diameter, since the shelf is only about, I think it's like 6 inches wide or something like that. But I'm not going to be putting this one on a pole. I'm just going to kind of let it figure out what it wants to do, I think. There is this smaller one here. I'm not quite sure if I'm going to leave it or if I'm going to try and grow it separately or just give it away to someone in my building. Let me try and find a vessel for this first. So I'm mixing that soil that I sifted out back into here. It's so fluffy. I know, Pudge, we're gonna go out in just a second, okay? I'm so full from lunch that I couldn't just immediately go out and walk him like I normally would, because I feel like a beached whale. This is pretty much the largest vessel diameter-wise that I can fit on my shelf, so it has to go in here. This root system isn't massive. I would have preferred something a little bit larger than this. What I'm gonna do is start with leca down at the bottom. I wrapped the roots in plastic so that it didn't get like wet and muddy when I was giving it a wash down. Oh, there goes another leaf. I think I might add like a bamboo stake in here, if anything, just to like keep it upward since it's sort of falling. But I kind of like the idea of it not climbing upward but growing wildly wherever it wants. The only thing I'm worried about is the leaves sort of reverting in size if not given something to climb, or it's kind of just hanging in there. I might just prop it up this way and see what happens. All right, so this one is done. Luckily, I was able to get this one repotted without breaking this new leaf that is on the way out, but I'm gonna stick this on my shelf. I will water it maybe in about an hour or two because I don't want all of those broken roots to absorb water right away. I kind of want to let things that were broken callus up a bit and just kind of heal itself before I douse it in water. But 1 down, 3 to go, 2 to go, I don't remember. I do think I am gonna walk my angel baby right now though, because I think that I could use some sun to recharge me. I always feel so sluggish after lunch no matter what I eat. Even if I just eat a salad, it's like after I eat my brain is just like, okay, nap time. And it's like not even 12 yet, or it's probably close to 12. Anywho, I will be right back again. Okay, the next one that we are gonna work on is this bigger one, and I need to dry off the leaves so that all of this crap. We just got back from our walk, so Pudge is gonna be sounding like a hog in the background. But we went for a little jog, because Pudge actually is a very, very distracted dog when we go for walks. So it takes him a long, long time to poop, and the second we come across another person or another dog, it like resets and starts over. But I have found that jogging before, like right when we get out there, really gets his bowels going. So it kind of forces me to like run every day, which I'm not a huge fan of, but you know, we do what we can to get the poop. These leaves are so huge. This new leaf, you guys, is like, I can't really describe the size of this. It's like as big as my torso. It's huge. This was the one that I did not want to rip because it's so beautiful and I want to take a photo of it, but it's gonna be hard to photograph. I hope that my Florida Beauty gets this big. That would be incredible. The newest leaf that just came out on it is actually quite large, which is exciting. So I guess now the question is, where is this one going? And am I putting it on a pole? I'm almost thinking I want to put it on the top shelf so that it can grow upward. But this is actually a really, really big one. I don't know if it's gonna fit. I mean, I think it'll be okay. So I think what I'm gonna do for this one is get it onto a lazy pole and get it into a no drainage pot as well. Found my vessel. I don't even remember getting this one. This one's actually really nice because it's got like rounded edges here and it just feels so expensive. But I could tell it's not. I'm losing steam. Okay, so I think the first thing I'm gonna do is cut my lazy pole stuff. So as usual, I am eyeballing it on account of I don't have patience. Great, now there's dog hair all over this thing. So it doesn't need to be huge because it's not like the stem is massive. I mean, it's a good size, but it's not like a monstera or anything. I think I can do it like this. I'm sorry that if I trigger you for not making straight lines before I cut, but I just really cannot be bothered with it. Maybe one day. Like that seems straight enough, and once it's like curved, you can't really tell. Ever since I tore a gaping hole through my Philodendron SP Columbia, I've been rounding my edges because I feel like I've gotten super lucky up to this point, but now that like everything is growing in the greenhouse, it's getting just like a lot harder to move things around without any casualties. And if you've never seen one of these before, I use it for my business. I make physical flashcards, and because it costs double the... This bird needs to chill. Shh! I make flashcards, and since it costs double the amount to manufacture them with rounded edges, I've just been rounding them myself very, very tediously. I hate it. It's the worst part of my job, but you know, anything to save money. So yeah, I've just been using it to round the edges of this so that they don't cut through my leaves. Not necessary, but if you guys know me, you know I am extremely clumsy. This bird is really just getting on my dang nerves. I'm not Snow White. And now I'm going to be adding my slits, and I'm going to show you a new way to fasten these with the help of someone who messaged Alice telling her how to easily tuck them in so that there's no like edges or like there's no flap that is sticking out of the back. If you watched my lazy pull part 1 and part 2 video, you know what I'm talking about. And honestly, I have never felt more like a freaking idiot than when she sent that video to Alice. I was like, it's so simple. I was just doing it the wrong way. All right, so what I'm gonna do here, I'm not gonna be putting the pole all the way down at the bottom because it's not gonna be tall enough. I actually just wanna sit above the substrate as much as possible. So I'm going to just treat it first as if I'm not putting it on a pole, of course. Adding some mycorrhizal inoculants. And I always just do like, I don't know, like a few pinches just to make sure I get like as much of the roots as I can. I think someone asked a question recently, which is like, is there a drawback to adding too much mycorrhizae? And I will say that I have had plants in passive hydro specifically where I really like laid on the myco thick, and it started like overgrowing on the sides of the vessel and even on the top of the substrate, and it even like encroached on like the moss pole. I don't know if that was myco, but it was the same exact color as the myco. And then I just got all these mushrooms growing from the pole. It was like kind of everywhere and it just looked black because my other myco is black, whereas this one is like kind of like a gray color, or not gray, yeah, gray brown. So I mean, the plant was super healthy and doing fine, but you can definitely see there was like an overgrowth of something. So I wouldn't be the best person to ask that question because I haven't been using mycorrhizal inoculants for very long. I think it's like definitely been under a year, and I'm still like in the process of observing and conducting a few experiments right now with my seedlings of plants grown with and without added mycorrhizae. Not the best person to ask, but I do just try and make sure that I cover all the roots. I usually always just do it with my hands. I don't like use a spoon and spoon it on. I just like to be able to exactly feel how much I'm grabbing. Okay, so I'm pretty much set up for a pole right here. That's where I want it touching, but I'm gonna add a tiny bit more soil. I'm so happy to be using Fox Farm soil again. I haven't used it in quite some time. I've just been buying the sort of generic brand from my local greenhouses and stuff, and I don't know, it's really hard to deny how good Fox Farm soil is. I find that the roots just grow like so nice and thick, and this was before I was using myco. So we'll see how my plants are liking it. But I could add a bamboo stake to this. I just don't really want the look of the stick on my shelf. Like, I really do want it to be as invisible as possible. I think I'm gonna have to extend this in a really short time if I don't do a bamboo pole, but that might be a fun video to film. I've never shown an extension before, so that could be interesting. So, okay, here's what I'm talking about with the loops, and this was not credit to me. So before, I was just hooking them on like this, and you could kind of see this like strap that's like sticking out in the back. But if you just turn them inward and then hook it this way, then the flaps are on the inside and it's flush in the back. So simple. There's hair all over this. Oh, pudge. So I'm gonna actually hook it first, and then I'm just gonna slide it over the top. If I could get all this dog hair out. So, oh, you know what? I wanted to, crap. I kind of got this. Oh, okay, so I want to get this one in the pole. So I'm going to take off this bottom one, I'm going to push this up, and then I might need to make a longer strap for this one because I need to pull it. Okay, to like stabilize this first. Maybe the bottom can come out like this, and then I can go that way. The thing with lazy poles is that it's not like a one size fits all for every plant. It really just depends on what the growth pattern is, which plant you're working with, and you sort of just have to be able to make the right call in terms of tweaking the design a little bit so that it's more catered to the actual plant you're working on. So for this one specifically, I've got two big, thick stems here that are blocking me from being able to pinch it the same size. So I'm actually going to just have it flush out at the bottom here, but I am going to tie it in. So I have a strap here that's larger. I'm going to go around the stem. Hopefully you can see it from the back. And then I'm going to clip it in like this. Come on. Now my goal is going to be to try and stabilize this pole. I might need to grab a rock, but I'm just gonna fill it with some more substrate. I don't have a big river rock that is the right size, but I do have some little ones here that I can stack together just to kind of stabilize it in here more. I'm just going to put it down at the base. I also want to get this part of the stem tucked into this strap. So I'm gonna have to release this one as well. And then I'm gonna go this way. There's a little bit of like forcing that comes with training a plant onto a new pole. And honestly, it's one of my least favorite things to do, especially on like established plants. Sorry, it's like the focusing is so wonky right now, but these leaves are everywhere. I actually think I want to make a bigger strap for this center one so that more of this is enclosed. I just need to get this pole straight. This is what I've settled on. A thick strap in the middle, a smaller strap down at the bottom to keep the stem in place. And I'm just hoping that once this soil is wet, it'll stay in place more, but I also don't want it to be too compacted. The rocks are only in the back to keep the lazy pole upright or as steady as possible, but a lot of these roots are down here and are able to breathe. Now I need to fill it with moss. Whew. Okay. That one was a very exhausting build. Obviously, I will give you guys a better look at each of them. Once I'm done here, I'll like show it to you from afar and give you a good glimpse. But this one is lazy poled, and I'm gonna let it also chill out for a little while longer before I water, but I do want to get this pole cleaned up because it is all musty and dusty and crusty and has pudge fur all over it. This one is gonna be slightly easier. I have a feeling that this one is gonna revert in size. It's gonna get really small, but I don't really want to have 2 of these growing on a moss pole. I am gonna try and grow this in my plant room just because I want it to look a little bit more wild in there, and in a few weeks you guys will know what the plant room looks like now, because I didn't do a major overhaul, but I definitely made a big change, and it's been a few weeks since I've been keeping this secret, and I cannot wait until the cat is out of the bag so that I can film in there again. But anyway, all that to say, I do want to put this in there just to kind of make it feel a little bit more jungle-like. But I don't want to get it on a pole. I'm not really sure what the situation is going to be, but I know that I'm just going to get this potted. And I want to do no drainage too, but honestly, I'm like out of no drainage pots. I need to go to the thrift store stat and pick more up, because the amount of repotting I've been doing in the last few weeks is just wild. There's like this really, really precious, delicate new leaf on this, so I don't want to break it. I almost want to try growing this in passive hydro, but these roots are they're not the ideal roots to transition. Here's the vessel I'm going to be using for this. It's a little bit smaller than I would like. It's going to fit pretty much perfectly. A little on the tight side. So because I don't have a lot of room to work with for adding like a layer of leca down at the bottom, what I'm going to do is just make a very I'm going to make a leca heavy soil mix and add even more perlite. But I need to shake off any roots here that are no longer attached. I can see, oh. So this cutting specifically is really weird because it's got this sort of like L-shaped stem. So I'm actually just gonna sit the whole stem like this sort of on the pot as support, and then I'm just gonna pot it like that, and then hopefully it stays. It's actually not staying, and I don't want to use a super heavy rock on this plant. So what I'm gonna do is just use this little chopstick. I'm gonna stick it right at the edge here. Every time I say edge here, I always want to say Ed Sheeran. And then I'm just gonna use the stem to like keep it propped up, and then I'll add some more substrate, or I can even add some moss on the top. I think I'll just do substrate since I still have a little bit extra of this really aerated mix. Oh, I'm pooped. Okay. Look at this really sad floppy thing. Hope that it like hardens off all right in the next few days, but it's just kind of looking like wet spinach right now. This one is also growing 360. This is one thing that kind of bothered me about this plant, is that I've got this big old leaf over here and then everything is kind of growing this way. So obviously I'm not going to chop off this big beautiful leaf for the sake of aesthetics. But hopefully once it's in the space, I won't be able to show it to you today because again, I can't show you the plant room. Hopefully it kind of finds its place. But now that I'm done, I'm just going to get cleaned up a little bit here and I'll show you all 3 plants with a better view. As I'm looking at these 3 plants separately, I can tell you right now I'm already missing that big bush that we started with. But if I had like the perfect place for it, I could have put it like where my big Rojo Congo is, but I don't think there's going to be enough light there and a pole wouldn't fit up there. Anyway, those are just my thoughts. I am missing seeing that big old thing and I kind of wish I took one more photo of it before I dismantled it, but I guess we will see how these grow separately. Here is plant number 1 that we worked on. Just a refresher, this one is just in a cylinder glass vessel with leca down at the bottom. I did put a bamboo pole here, but I think I need to stabilize it a little bit better. I'll probably just put like a rock down here or something to hold it upright. And this one is going to be going into my bedroom. It was in my bedroom before. It was out in the living room. I moved it out to my bedroom. I moved it back here. It's just, yeah, Pudge was just kind of running into it wherever. And even in the bedroom, like my husband sort of had to like shimmy around it so that he wouldn't hit it, and some of the leaves kind of got knocked. But you can kind of see that like it looks like it's getting a lot smaller in the stem. So hopefully I don't end up with a reverted plant, but you really never know. But anyway, yeah, here is plant 1. Plant number 2 was the biggest one out of all of them. This was one of the first leaves to unfurl in my care, and so beautiful, and I'm really glad that it came out undamaged throughout this whole thing. But this is the one that is on a clear lazy pole. I'm going to be putting this one back here on the top shelf. Hopefully it gets enough light up there, fingers crossed. But yeah, I've got to throw this one in the shower and get the pole cleaned off because it's looking really gross. Leca down at the bottom, soil up at the top. I feel like it's gonna be okay. It is a very heavy plant though, but it's so big and beautiful. And then the last one, this crazy looking thing. I think I might stick a taller bamboo stake in here so that I can kind of keep it upright this way, maybe, because it's kind of leaning still. This chopstick isn't quite doing the job, but you can kind of get an idea of what it might look like once it's sitting on a shelf. And I will have to make a mental note to show it to you in my space once I'm able to show you the plant room again. Based on when I'm filming this, oh my god, the birds are out for me today. I think I'll be able to show you my plant room in like 3 to 4 weeks, I think. I would have to look at my schedule again, but I hope the next time I show this to you, it doesn't look like spinach. I'm so tired. Okay, so that is actually it for today's video. This freaking bird. It's so hot in here though, I can't close the window. We get it, you're a bird. Anyway, I'll try and make this quick. Thank you guys so much for watching this video. I hope you enjoyed it. I also hope that it wasn't as chaotic as my previous repots have been. I am feeling a little bit more calm today and not so flustered, and I think that's because this was the only thing on my to-do list for today besides tackling that mountain of dishes in my sink. So I was able to focus a little bit more, but I'm glad it's over. I really hope that they all take well to the transition. It was a very aggressive repot. We lost a lot of roots, as you saw, but I just find that these plants are quite resilient even when you have to start over rerooting it. So I kind of have faith that at least one of the 3 plants will do well, and if they don't, I'm going to be really sad because that little bush was so happy and healthy. I'm gonna get out of your hair. Thank you for watching another video. To all of the old and the new subscribers, I appreciate you being here. If you liked it, please give it a thumbs up because it helps Pudge and I's visibility a lot on YouTube. I love you guys, and I will see you in the next one.